Don't change that dial. It's time for your go-to source for all things entertainment and caffeinated. Now give it up and welcome to the stage, Eva and DJ!
I'm Eva Crowe, and this is the Inks and Lattes podcast, where we're spilling the ink and dishing out drinks. So DJ is not with me this week. He's going to be back in about 2 weeks. But today I am joined by a very special guest co-host, CCC founder, Chris Corvan.
That's me.
Say hi, Chris.
Hi. We are both members of the Creative Coffee Cafe community. It's an amazing place where creatives can come together, chill, hang out, bounce ideas, and just get advice and support from their fellow creatives. It's an awesome community, and now we're going to showcase some of the features from our talented members, and that was so bad, but we're keeping it because that's how I roll when I do shit. So today... Exactly. Today, we want to tell you about a recent release from CCC member Tamra K. Selman. Tamra's a short story, Lather, Rinse, Repeat, is featured in the recently released book, Lurking, Parts of the Dark Decades anthology series by Inky Bones Press. Readers have described Tamra's story as a contemporary morality tale, taking cyberstalking to its inevitable conclusion and a drain the color from your face type of story in the best way possible. You're not always so safe on social media as you think you are, and this short story perfectly captures the essence. Lurking is live and ready to purchase through your favorite e-book reader.
Pacific Northwest author Tamra K. Selman favors the liminal, subterranean, gothic, and often eldritch landscapes of her beloved region in her stories. She's the author of Cul-de-sac Stories, tales that question safety and reality in the American exurban landscape. Previously, she released Intention Tremor. Its verse and prose chronicle her life after an MS diagnosis in 2013. Her work is also anthologized, most recently in True Stories and now Lurking. Selman co-hosts the Beneath the Rain Shadow podcast with Clay Vermelin. Their anthology, Rain Shadows, launches in 2025. An indie filmmaker, Selman is currently transforming her poems into indie films to make them more accessible. One experiment, titled Look Up, won bronze laurels at the WRPN Women's International Film Festival and appears in 3 other film festivals in 2024. And just so you guys know, all links can be found in the description.
And now we're just going to jump into some of the other great CCC-related things. Luna Wolf Wyoming Designs has all kind of beautiful tumblers, mugs, stemless wine tumblers. I know I have one. I have 2. It's amazing. I love them. Thank you, Eva,
Same.
for the one. That was amazing. They offer pre-made designs and also accept custom orders. Owner and creator Vicky has put out a special dripping creativity tumbler that is amazing, and 15% of the sales go right back into the Creative Coffee Cafe, so you know we gotta support our homies.
I love Vicky and I love those tumblers. I'm gonna get them for Christmas gifts. I can't wait. Just saying. But another thing, Aster at Aster's Mystic Bedhead has a shop on Ko-fi. Check out Aster's tiny art and snag your own adorable one-of-a-kind piece of Aster's tiny art. They're the cutest.
Aster's art has always been my favorite. So yeah, make sure to go and pick it up. You are going to not be disappointed. Looking for a podcast that dives into the strange, the mysterious, and the downright bizarre? Check out Niche Knowledge and Nonsense with lifelong friends Bailey Brain Vomit and Ethan Dixon. Every other Monday, they swap mind-bending stories like the Philip experiment, real gnome sightings, and 500,000 abandoned tunnels beneath America. Whether it's cryptids, cryonics, or things that go bump in the night, these two bring the weird right to you. New episodes will be on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and pretty much everywhere else you can find it. Head over to their Linktree/NKN pod to dive in.
I'm going to have to check that out because those are all things that I love. So I'm going to check that out as well.
The 2 of them are absolutely amazing. Ethan is off like, if you haven't seen the interviews where I did with the 2 of them, you need to check that out too, because those 2 are just off the hinges. They're amazing.
Yeah, good stuff. And just another quick reminder, all links can be found in the description below. So we're going to get into this week's topic. So this week's topic, keeping with the spooky, the bizarre, the weird for the month of October, we are going to discuss cryptids. Cryptids. Yes.
There's so many cryptids throughout the years, and they just get cooler and cooler.
There's so many. Like, I did a little bit of research before this episode just because, I like my research. There's so many cryptids. It's insane how many there are. They're divided up by like aquatic, terranean, like there's just so many. I had no idea there's that many because, we all think of the same ones. Generally speaking, there's like the Yeti, Chupacabra, Bigfoot, Mothman, Loch Ness Monster, Jersey Devil. Those are the ones that immediately come to mind for me. What about you?
Yeah, those are just the mainstream.
Yes. The mainstream America ones too, really. Like a lot of those are like American sightings and stuff like that.
For sure. And I mean, like that's kind of one of the best things about Canada is not only do we have a lot of space, but there's a lot of unpopulated space and a lot of forests that just hide so many things. I mean, if you go really far up north in the Northwest Territories there, you have the Wahila, which is like a giant wolf-like creature. If you go to Lake Manitoba, they have the Manipogo, which is similar to the Loch Ness Monster. Sightings describe it being from anywhere from like 12 to 50 feet with a long neck and humps. Let's see what else we got. The Ogopogo, which is one of the most famous Canadian ones, which is it's Nessie. It's just in British Columbia. It's Canadian with a very great name. Canada has some really great ones that I absolutely love. Just
there's a lot of cool local ones.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, like even going to BuzzFeed with the Ghoul Boys, anytime they go looking out for any of the cryptids and all that, those are great episodes.
Oh yeah, for sure. We have one around, not specifically around where I am, but Ohio has its own called, ready for it? The Loveland Frogman cryptid.
I think I've heard of that.
Yeah, that's like a specific to Ohio one. There's quite a few different ones that are specific to Ohio. One I'm not going to mention right now because I'm going to talk about it later. But I'm one of those people, like, I don't know about you, Chris. I know that we've talked about stuff like this before. I know we've talked about like aliens and ghosties and all of those things. But where do you fall on the spectrum of cryptids, real or not real? Where do you fall?
That's
yeah, I know. Asking the hard questions.
Yeah, I think really when it boils down to it, it's kind of I would love so wholeheartedly to just believe in skinwalkers and absolutely everything. It's just
skinwalkers.
It's just very
me out.
It's just very difficult for me to do it. But again, I just have too many questions when it comes to these things. So yeah.
Yeah, I totally get it. I know, like I said, I know we've talked about it in the past. I am kind of similar, but not quite. Like, I am very much a logic-driven person. I am naturally skeptical about pretty much everything. Like, I am a firm in everything or you'll fall for everything or for anything, that whole deal. But with that being said, I also believe in a lot of cryptids. I'm not afraid to admit it. I fully believe in aliens. I fully believe in spirits, ghosts. I am not at all a religious person. I've said that before, but I definitely believe in stuff that is, otherworldly and stuff like that. I'm kind of I'd say I would lean more towards I believe in cryptids more than I don't believe in cryptids. Especially, don't even get me started on like the ocean, because there are so many things that I'm sure live in the depths of the ocean.
In the ocean, I can completely 100% see that because there's way too much shit we don't know about down there. So it
freaks me out. Like, it freaks me out that we know more about space than we do about our own oceans. That's horrifying. Do I believe the Kraken or something like that is real? Absolutely. Absolutely, I do.
I mean, if it's not really, what are we doing here,
I mean, and that's the thing. Like, I have no proof I know, and that's the thing with cryptids. There's no scientific. I have the actual like definition of cryptids. Hold on. The technical definition is a cryptid is an animal or creature that people, but there is no solid proof or scientific evidence available to prove that it actually exists. And like, there's just so many uncharted places and like so many things that have been around for God knows how long. And I mean, people get lost in the wilderness all the time. I don't know, man. I can't like in good conscience say that I like fully don't believe in any of it. I 100% believe in some of them. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's such a weird fascination that people have with cryptids. Like I love it, but it's such a weird concept in a way.
Oh yeah, no, and I mean just the amount of shows that are out there, especially now with the
Mm,
streaming being so popular. Like, I mean, how many does Netflix
yeah.
have alone? Is just kind of one of those things that it's much like Aliens. It sparks that
Gates.
thing in the brain where it's like, I don't know, but I want to know.
Mm,
And it's
hmm.
just enough lore out there that kind of keeps that whole, I need to know the answers.
Yeah, that's human nature, isn't it? To just like, I need to know.
It's
And
it's the nature
for
of
most people,
completionism.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I have a friend, would we consider aliens cryptids? Do we think?
Oh, I
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I know.
I would say all aliens are cryptids, but not all cryptids are aliens.
There we go. That's fair. I have a coworker who was like deathly afraid of the concept of aliens, like to the extent where like if anybody even brings it up, she's just like, no, nope. Mm-mm. We're like, Christy, we can't be the only ones. And she's like, no, we are alone. There's nobody out there. And she just is one of those, it's like, if I don't acknowledge it, it's not real. And
Was
she
she
will, she
abducted
always
as a
jokes about it. She'll,
child?
yeah. What's that?
Was she abducted as a child or something? Because that's a hardcore
Like
fear.
a, yeah, it's like a repressed memory or something. I don't know. But she is like, it's so funny because if anybody brings up alien, you just hear her from across the office go, no, mm-mm, mm-mm. We're like, Christy, they're out there. And she's like, no, I don't believe it. If I don't believe it, they're not real. I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, now what you got to do is you got to do a whole episode on aliens and get her to come on.
Oh God, she would never. She would
I'd,
absolutely never.
that would be so
She'd
good. Come
probably,
on.
she'd convince herself that like if she talked about it, they would visit her. If they, like, she would convince herself that it was like a bad idea. But yes, so I guess aliens are kind of cryptids. There is a name for like, I forget what it is. I should have wrote it down, but I didn't because I'm stupid. But there's a name for like another kind of creature that is not so much like a cryptid, but it's like a word for a cryptid type that is of another dimension. I forget what it is, and it's gonna bug me. Um, I mean,
Oh.
I'm gonna do a quick Google search.
Yeah, do it up, man. I mean, the best part is I can edit this shit all I want.
I mean, I Google stuff all the time when because sometimes we just need to do that. Um, it was in John Keel's. Oh, that's what it is. It was in John Keel's book, and something else. It was something else that he mentioned. He has a bunch of shit, but um, ultra terrestrials is what they're called, and they're beings from other dimensions that have influenced human culture throughout history. Is the technical like definition of an ultra terrestrial, which is weird because I mean I guess any cryptids could technically be from other parallel universes if we're going to get that
Now,
heavy into it,
now you see that I would actually believe in more than
right?
anything else. Is it's not actually a cryptid. It's just something happened to come into from a different universe, and that's like normal where they are. So, like
Right.
Sasquatch, that's normal in their universe. Everyone is like that. And they just happen to
Yeah.
cross over briefly into ours, and that's why we can never find them. That makes, you know what? That's a good solution. I'm
Yes.
happy with that. I'm happy with that.
Yeah. I don't know if you ever have watched the show Paranormal Caught on Camera. it's not just paranormal things like ghosties and stuff like that, but they also do like cryptids, UFO stuff, all kinds of weird things, basically anything unexplained that's been, quote, caught on camera. And there's one that they do that is so terrifying, and I've seen it multiple times. It's the concept of time travelers. And have you ever seen any of those videos?
Oh, yes. Yes, I have seen many of
They're like
those.
the ones where it's like someone driving in like Russia, or like it's always some random, it's always like Russia or like somewhere like Turkey or some random country, and it's like a dash cam, and you'll just see like a person appear and like walk in the middle of like traffic. What are those, dude? What are those?
Okay.
They
Those are an entirely different episode now. I mean, come on.
like, I mean, could it be a cryptid though? I don't know. Are they time travelers, or are they, oof, I don't know. Are they ultra terrestrials? Who knows?
Entirely too human to be cryptid.
And that is one big thing. Is, have you noticed how many cryptids have like a human-esque version, like what is the word I'm looking for? So many cryptids have like a human-esque aspect to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you have like Bigfoot. Mothman has somewhat like human characteristics, obviously like werewolves and stuff like that. Which werewolves, I guess, kind of fall into folklore and cryptids. I guess they're kind of both. But yeah, there's a lot of questions out there about cryptids, and some of the shows out there are pretty wild. It is a little bizarre that they've never fully caught any of them.
That's the only reason why it's so hard to believe, is because at this point, with this many people looking, there should at least be something, you know, a solid 4K moment at least. But the other problem
Have you ever seen? Go ahead.
With AI getting as good as it is, and let's face it, right now it's the worst it's ever going to be. So it's going to get better. It's going to be so hard to debunk what's real and what's fake. So now nothing's going to be real.
For sure. I mean, do you remember that cryptid video that washed up like a didn't wash up? The creature, supposedly a cryptid, was like washed onto a beach, and it had like a beak. Do you remember that video or that picture a few years back? I think
so, and I actually think that's one of the things that Bailey and Ethan covered on one of their episodes.
Yeah, it has like a beak, but it's also kind of dog-like. To me, that screams like some kind of weird chupacabra type thing. I don't know for sure, but like there has been some weird things out there. And like it'd be one thing if the reasoning, like the explanations that these like quote experts come up with to dismiss cryptids like that, sometimes they're just not even close to believable. You know what I mean? Where they're like, that's a dog. You're like, that's not a fucking dog. Like, I don't care what anybody says. That's not a fucking dog. You know what I mean? Like, they're not even close to believable. And then
they're
they
not
just
even
get like
trying,
brushed away. Yeah, they just get brushed away. It's like when they were like aliens or weather balloons. Like, okay. Okay, guys. Like, if they came up with like a valid thing, then fine. But like, they've never been able to come up with any kind of validity for a lot of them. Like Sasquatch are just like, oh, it's a guy in a suit. But like, how can that possibly be with the amount of Sasquatch sightings all over the world? You know what I mean? How can that possibly be?
Just really like bored people in the woods. I'm telling you.
People do weird shit in the woods.
Exactly. There's a whole lot of people that just live out there off the grid. And really, you got nothing better to do than really freak out some people dressing up like a Sasquatch. I'm just saying.
Just one guy out there just having the best time of his life.
Messing with people as much as possible and just living the best life. Like, come on, that is how you want to live.
That guy's like, you know what? Fuck society. I'm just going to live out in the woods and create chaos.
I would do it. I mean, really, if I didn't have kids or responsibilities, you're damn right that's what I would do.
You're just like an old hermit in the woods, making Sasquatch feet and like trouncing around.
Every now and then stitching together some dead animals and just like throwing them out there, really mess with people.
Throwing them like by the road so people will find them and be like, it's mutilated. Animals don't do this. Yeah, exactly.
No, really, it's just pickled for a couple years.
Right. It's so weird.
All right. I mean, should we get on?
It could be that. You can go ahead and introduce our pick of the week if you want.
Oh, I'm doing the pick of the week. Am I starting or are you starting?
You can start. We'll start with you.
Oh. Oh, I see. All right, we're gonna start with me. All right, so the pick of the week, we were going with Cryptids, as it was thrown to me here, seeing as I am the guest, and I had to go with one of the most popular Canadian ones, which is the Wendigo. I mean, you can't go wrong with the Wendigo.
I have heard of the Wendigo, but I don't know much about it.
See, now the Wendigo is one of the coolest ones. So it's rooted in the Algonquin legend. Its presence looms large across the forest and prairies of northern Ontario, Quebec, and particularly the harsh wildernesses of my province, Alberta. It's not just a monster. It's a symbol of insatiable hunger and greed, and it's often associated with brutal winters that leave people isolated, desperate, and vulnerable, and really a lot of the legend and lore comes down to people become Wendigos when they desecrate nature and eat somebody.
Oh.
Yes.
That's dark.
It is so dark. It's absolutely amazing.
So dark.
So we have a whole lot of forests here in northern Alberta there, especially like around the mountains and all of that stuff. In the remote areas, native people kind of pass down the tales of the Wendigo to caution against acts of selfishness, and especially in like the really harsh winters, because, you know, it's Canada. When it kind of gets down to it, it boils down to just emaciated skeletal figures with gaunt skin and clinging loose to bones and sharp beast-like teeth, and it's just always hungry. Like, no matter how much it consumes, it needs more. It's a very supernatural based thing there. Loves human flesh. Big fan of the human flesh there. In some depictions, it stands like 7, 9, 12 feet tall, depending. But it also has, you know, a very spiritual and psychological kind of curse to it, because that's how it ends up happening. So those who commit all these unspeakable acts, they kind of become consumed by their dark desire, and it transforms them and contorts them into these grotesque giant beings. Every now and then you'll hear about spottings in the woods and all of that. It's kind of difficult to really hash out, because, you know, that's not really a creature you want to run into. So I think anyone that has run into it probably didn't survive too long.
I just Googled it. That's nightmare fuel.
Oh, 100%, 100%. So here's a little thing that I found there. So in 1879, a Cree chief named Swift Runner, living near Edmonton, Alberta, became infamous for a crime that was later attributed to Wendigo possession. After a brutal winter, he resorted to cannibalism, killing his own family, claiming he was possessed by the spirit of the Wendigo. The case became one of the most notorious examples of Wendigo psychosis, a phenomenon where people believe they are transforming into the Wendigo after consuming human flesh. Swift Runner's trial is often cited as proof that the fear of the Wendigo possession was not just mythological, but deeply rooted in the indigenous communities around Alberta. Like, there's an actual condition out there about this one, all right?
That's wild, dude. It is wild.
It is. It's absolutely great.
Easy.
Now, one of the best visualizations and stories around the Wendigo is actually Until Dawn, a video game released for the PlayStation 4 in 2015. It is an amazing choice-based game. Horror game. It very much has kind of like that classic slasher feel to it as you're playing it. You know, a group of friends must survive a night until dawn from a terror in the mountains, and the Wendigos are kind of a central plot to the whole thing. And just the character design alone is terrifying, and they add a lot of the Native American folklore into it. And yeah, it's fantastic. It's absolutely a game you got to pick out. Supernatural had an episode about the Wendigo, season 1, episode 2, entitled Wendigo. Yeah, that one, I don't think I ever saw that one, but it is there.
A good one. Yeah.
And then in 2021, there's the movie Antlers, directed by Scott Cooper. It's a horror film that takes place in small Oregon town where a young boy harbors a dark secret about a supernatural entity in the woods. The creature is eventually revealed to be the Wendigo. And you got your horror themes around native myth, greed, hunger, and transformation. And I haven't seen it yet. It's been on my watch list for a while. Is it good?
It is good. I have seen that one.
And yeah, so there, you know all about the Wendigo.
I mean, I know a bit, but yeah, they are nightmare fuel for sure.
Oh,
Anything that's like that rooted to in like native culture is always extra terrifying to me for some reason, because I feel like there's just, I don't know what it is with like native culture stuff like that. It just feels more believable. I don't know. There's just like these stories that go back so far, and there's got to be something to it. There has to be something to it. I don't know.
Well,
The Wendigo is crazy though.
We could hope some of them are true. I don't know. There's some really weird ones. Like I'm actually working on a series right now that is dedicated around native myths and
nice
things like that, and that's going to be a lot of fun when I put that one together. It's I'll tell you this one because you know it's great. The first story, I've nicknamed him Teddy. But that's not his actual name. But he's a cryptid that hunts you and tickles you to death.
Is that a real cryptid, or did you make that up?
No. It's a real myth.
Shut up.
It is. I'll send you my version of it later because I've had that one written for a while there. I don't know if I actually sent that one to you or not. I might have.
I don't think so.
It is because I was talking to somebody and I told them about this one because I was looking at different cryptids and like things that I can come up with stories for, and she's like, "There is no way you can make that scary." I say, "You just freaking watch. I'm gonna make this scary," and I think I did a good job. I had a couple people that were pretty like, "Ew, that's oh, so scary." I was like, "Yeah."
No, dude, just hearing you say it, I was like, "Ew, I don't like
right?
that."
Like, just imagine being tickled. Well, not only tickled to death, but tickled to death while being cold, because it embodies this like cold nature. No, it's terrifying.
I already don't like it. Which that just really quickly before I go into my pick, that just reminds me, there's a documentary out there. I forget what it's called now. I want to say it's called like Nightmare. I forget what it's called, but I'll figure it out and mention it on Threads or something if anybody's interested. But there's this weird documentary out there about sleep paralysis, and there's a particular guy, because sleep paralysis is wild, and like the things that people see during sleep paralysis, which should be a whole separate episode. But there was one where this guy's first memory, like a core memory of his as a young child, were these beings that used to come into his room and tickle him in his crib. And it was horrifying, dude. They like reenacted in the documentary, and they were these like beings that looked like static, and they had these enormous smiles and long fingers, and they like tickled him, but in like a menacing way, obviously. And it literally haunts my dreams.
I do 100%. As somebody that had an uncle that would hold me down and tickle me until I cried. Oh, no. I get that, and I fear. Like I'm already paranoid just thinking of that shit.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to send you that so you can see it because it's horrifying. But unless you have anything else to add about your pick, anything else?
No, I think we're good.
Okay, then I'm going to get into my pick. I was tossing around two different ones. Shout out to Willow, because if she ever listens to this, because she told me that if I didn't choose Mothman, she was going to be very upset, because I have a history with moths attacking me. And Willow knows this, and my pick is not the Mothman. It was almost the Mothman, because Mothman has been sighted in Ohio, but it's more centered towards West Virginia, which, right down below Ohio over the river. Actually, one of the bridges there was a bridge that collapsed in 1967, I believe. It was a bridge from like the 1920s, and it basically was just structurally unsound. But the whole thing that started with Mothman was people claimed to have seen it right before that bridge collapsed, and Mothman almost became like a myth around it as being a sort of harbinger of something bad to come. So I almost did Mothman, but because it's more West Virginia centered, I did not. My pick is the Ohio Grassman, which I know sounds weird, but the Ohio
I'm looking them up
Grassman.
right now. Hold on. I'm looking this shit up. Ohio.
It sounds like a stoner thing, but it's not.
That's a drug
Not.
dealer. I don't give a shit what anyone says. All right. Anyways, continue. Sorry.
The Ohio Grassman's just really a drug dealer pushing weed in like broken down cities of Ohio. No. The Ohio Grassman is our version of a Sasquatch, slightly different, but it is very close to Sasquatch, aka Yeti, that whole thing. The Ohio Grassman has been spotted a lot in the state of Ohio. So it is characterized by a very imposing size, striking orange eyes, and it's rumored to live in these like grassy, stick-like shelters that have been found where they've been sighted, apparently. And they're like a really integral part of Ohio folklore. They are, though, different from Bigfoot. They're very similar. The large figure covered in dark hair. Some people have even described it as having like a widow's peak hairline, which is very specific. But yeah, it's basically our version of Bigfoot. And I have a friend who, I love him. My friend Dom swears on everything that he saw the Ohio Grassman. One of the most common places for sightings of the Ohio Grassman is a place called Salt Fork, Ohio. And I've been to Salt Fork. It's a big state park. It's huge. And my friend Dom swears that they were driving to Salt Fork State Park, him and his girlfriend at the time, and he said he saw something on the side of the road. I'm only laughing because he tells the story with like such, like he's so serious when he tells the story, and he says that he like saw something on the side of the road off in the distance, and as they were getting closer to it, it got closer to the tree line, and he's like, man, it was like 8 or 9 feet tall, and it was just covered in hair, and I just saw it like disappear into the woods, into the tree line. And he like does the whole walk when he tells the story, like the Sasquatch walk, and it is so funny. Because he says it with such seriousness, and he will like go to his grave stating that he saw the Ohio Grassman. I don't not believe him, but it's weird to know somebody who's like, no, I've seen it. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's hard to disprove it. I'm just saying.
I know, and it's one of those things where it's like that is where it's like most notably seen. But it is kind of all around Ohio. It's been cited. And this goes back like as far back as like Native American tribes like the Shawnee and the Delaware told stories about these big hairy man-like creatures in the area. So like that's what I was talking about with like native stuff. Like they've been here for so long, you know what I mean? If anybody would know, it would be the natives. It would be them. So whenever they're like, no, this is a thing, I'm entitled to believe it. I'm inclined to believe it. But also another weird thing about the Ohio Grassman is it's said to have a very strong odor associated with it, which to me is gross and weird. And it almost freaks me out like more than I care to admit.
That's a horrible thing to be known for. I'm just throwing that out there now. Like, if you were going to become a cryptid, don't be known for your stench. Okay.
But like, it just reminds me of like something that's been like living outside, and it's just, oh, it's so gross to me. I don't know why. Imagine you're out like hiking, because Ohio has a ton of woods. Like we are, and also, by the way, side note, Ohio is apparently the number 4 state in the country for Sasquatch like sightings, which is crazy to me. I had no idea we were that high on the list. Out of 50, we're 4? That's crazy.
People
And
sleep on
apparently
Ohio, man. I'm telling you.
I mean, I've been to Hocking Hills, Ohio. Southern Ohio is wild, dude. It's different than where I'm from in Ohio. Southern Ohio is wild. And Hocking Hills State Park and Salt Fork and all of those places in Southern Ohio are very spooky. Like they're spooky fucking places. Ohio's like the 13th most haunted state. Like it's a weird place. So do I believe in the Ohio Grassman? I think I do. I think I do. I've never seen it. I would like to see it. If I'm being perfectly honest, I would like to see the Ohio Grassman, but I would probably hate my life after that because it's almost one of those things where like I almost don't need to know. You know what I mean? As much as I want to know, I don't need to know because that'll fuck my life up.
So, I got I got this weird theory that just popped in my head when it came to like the Ohio Grassman and Sasquatch and all that stuff. So like they're always kind of distinguished by their like long hair, long shaggy hair, and all of that, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, if you were somebody living out in the woods, off off the grid completely, no money, you're doing your own everything, you need warm clothes, right?
Right.
And
Correct.
you can make clothes out of leaves, tree bark, all of these things.
Animal fur.
Animal fur. So you would want to have enough layers where you could pretty much sleep anywhere in case you need to get out and away from something, right? You don't want to be one place too long.
Right.
Like, would it not just make sense to be just a dude that has made his own clothes hanging in the woods?
I mean, yes. That would make sense.
Because it would make you appear bigger because you'd want the extra layers.
Like think about this. Think about the fact that like native people have stories and sightings of these things hundreds of like years so far back, you know what I mean? Like what were they? We really think it was just some guy living out in the woods back then? You know what I mean?
People
Like,
be
what would they
crazy.
say?
People be crazy, man. I'm telling you, it doesn't matter the era, it doesn't matter the age. People are crazy. There's going to be some dude that decided to leave his tribe, go out for a hike, ended up in the woods, and when you know what, screw it, I'm just going to stay here.
He's like, those guys are jerks. I'm just going to mess with them in the woods. I mean, stranger things have happened. You know
Exactly.
what I mean? But
I'm just saying. I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm just saying that is a plausible explanation. Is somebody in tree bark and animal furs totally makes sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have someone playing devil's advocate. So I appreciate that.
I got you.
Because I will always be the person who like, I am the person who's like, I want to believe. You know what I mean? Like, even I am that X-Files girl that's like, I want to believe. I am drinking out of an X-Files mug as we speak that has a UFO on it and says, I want to believe, because it felt right for this episode. Even though no one's going to see it. I know it. So, but yeah, there's all kinds of weird cryptids out there, man. And people can believe what they want, that they're all a hoax, or that there is some level of truth. I'm inclined to say there's some level of truth to cryptids, to at least a handful of cryptids. I'm inclined to say that I believe in a lot of them. In closing.
I will go on record and say I have no idea, but I really want to believe it's really just a dude in a suit messing with people.
Yeah, because the alternative is terrifying.
Yeah,
right?
But is it which is really scarier? A Sasquatch in the woods or a man in the woods? You know, we're coming back to this one.
Would you rather meet in the woods, a bear or a man?
Exactly. That's what it boils down to in the end. Would you rather meet Bigfoot or a man in the woods?
All right. Well, I think we're going to have to wrap up this week's episode of Inks and Lattes. Thanks for hanging out with us. We are here every Wednesday as part of the Dripping Creativity podcast, hosted by my temporary co-host, Chris Corvan. So if you haven't subscribed already, please be sure to do so. And thank you for coming today, Chris. I appreciate you stepping in for DJ. It's been fun.
You know I'm down for everything. This has been an absolute blast. We're going to do it one more week. You're stuck with me for one more week. Maybe after that, we'll see what happens. Hopefully DJ will be back. But if you want more information about the Creative Coffee Cafe and how you can get involved, visit our website, creativecoffeecafe.com, for more information, and the sign-up sheet is there. You can find us all on social medias, absolutely everywhere. So make sure to follow Eva for sure, myself, DJ. And if you have any news on projects you would like to share, send it over to submit@creativecoffeecafe.com and we will get it on the episode. Thank you again for tuning in to Inks and Lattes, where we're spilling the ink and dishing out drinks. See ya.